answer, read the literature. I know it's boring. To me, I was a tweaker when I came in. I couldn't sleep. A couple lines out of the big book, I was sleeping like a baby. And find your groove. This can also be, I call it a social experiment. You don't have to. I mean, I'm a one day at a time type of guy, so I know what's waiting for me if I go pick up. Nothing but cops, misery, and self destruction. And I don't want that in my life today. So, just don't drink, go to meetings, and come back tomorrow.
Absolutely. And I will speak to those with 5+ years. And since this is our first episode, I'll explain. Ian's probably got a different number, and we'll take turns sending out our future messages and our past message. My message is for those who have 5+ years, because I don't think you know shit until you have 5 years in the program. And then at 5 years, you wake up one morning and you go, oh, now I get it. It might happen sooner for you, but it is based on my opinion and what I have seen out of people. It takes about 5 years. Fair number? Plus or minus 5 years?
Um, I'm gonna.
It's probably 3 to 5, but I like rounding up to an easy
I would
number.
I would say 3 to 5. It depends on the person. I mean, I know we're not supposed to talk about personalities, but there's a couple moments of clarity that I got early on, and I realized it. And I just my responsibilities increased, and I had to really stay sober for that. And for me, it's when life is going good, like at 5 years or 6 years or 7 years. That's when I get complacent. That's when I feel like I don't need a higher power. I don't need, to talk to other addicts or alcoholics. I don't need a spiritual solution in my life. And that's when I get in trouble. And that's, and luckily I've been around enough to realize that's happening. And for me, pause is a great weapon. When I want to act out, I try and pause. Definitely when I have cravings to drink or use, I pause. Because no matter what I'm feeling, good, bad, or indifferent, it's going to change. This too shall pass, whether it's good, whether it's bad. So as long as I can hold on to my ass long enough that feeling goes away, um, I'm going to have a shot at making it a productive day. And my problem is my two biggest fears are fear of success and fear of failure. So, when one's stronger than the other, I'm going to have a great day. When the other one's stronger, it's not going to be that good. It'll probably be fun, but it won't be that productive.
That somehow screams oxymoron.
Right, it does. Well, that's how I know I'm in the right place, being in recovery.
Yeah. Well, my message today is for those that have 5+ years. It is not a message of hope. My message of hope is to the person who has one day listening to this for the first time. You who have one day, you are statistically more likely going to see 5 years without drinking or using again. Those of you listening to the show who have 5+ years, you are more statistically likely to drink before the other person. The newcomers kind of have you. Was that dicky on my part? I wanted to end on a dicky note.
Yeah, that was pretty dicky. But, hey, if you and I can stay sober, anybody can, buddy.
That is real proof, and we'll definitely get into our stories because tune in next time to step one. We're gonna go one by one for these first 13 episodes. We will tell our stories and we will put them into practical play. Just so you know, Ian is a God-fearing NACA guy. I am.
God's on my side.
I'm an atheist. I believe you can be either one and still get sober.
Absolutely.
I don't have to be to the agnostic. I'm telling you straight up, if you got no belief in a higher power, trust me, the other steps will kind of work themselves out for you. We get to it, I'll explain it. I don't want to give away the punchline, but the punchline's that if you're going to be a real atheist, the secret, you've got to be 100% honest in your entire lifestyle. You literally have to be honest all the time. You cannot because you have nothing to fall back on. There's no higher power. No. If you really live the atheist lifestyle, those are the honest people in the room. If they're not being honest. You kind of have to be congruent to it. But I don't want to turn anybody off before we get there. I'm just saying, if you have issues with God, great, hang in there. We'll talk about it. Everybody does, to some degree or another. And now that one of the physicists has completely confirmed the fact that we are biological experiments in a petri dish, I'm trying to mentally wrap my brains around that one these days. Is that crazy conspiracy theory stuff?
It's like a little bit too much THC to me.
Maybe. But that's a physicist. So tune in again next week. Sign up here on Spreaker. It will be on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. It takes a couple of weeks for those to happen. But if you're listening to it off this link, click on the little button on your player and sign up so you'll have the show next week. We'll also make sure you guys have it in the feed. Send us an email at the word white, the word recovery, 3 words, blackwhiterecovery @gmail.com, and we'll answer all of your questions. I would love to do a mailbag session next week, everybody. Okay, set your clocks to it. Step 1. So if you're waiting to do your step 1, I highly recommend you wait till you hear from us. I've done 3 or 4 different versions of the silly thing.
Have you done
everybody's got a spin on step 1. Everybody.
And the workbook, it's pretty intense.
Yes.
I'm glad I got clean before that came out.
Yeah, mine was in the hospital, and it was so shocking to me to hear my life story that even I was like, I had the out of body of, who the hell is this?
Yeah.
This doesn't even sound real. So we'll talk about it next week, and having your first out of body experience, hearing your stories. Hopefully that works for you. Again, blackwhiterecovery @gmail. Send us an email. We'll read them on the air next week. Hopefully we hear from you. Certainly Ian would be more than happy to talk about whatever you send in, I'm sure. I personally don't care if you guys ever write in, which will probably ensure I get emails of people who hate me. I'm sure of it.
Hate mail?
Well, what I would say is write about it and tell your sponsor if you hate me after the first episode. And I'm glad to know, my egotistical self is glad to know that somewhere there's somebody writing about me and telling their sponsor. Nice, right?
Nice, absolutely.
Tune in next week. We will be here, everyone. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for keeping me sober.
The management apologizes for today's show. Please send your complaints to blackwhiterecovery @gmail. That's the words black, the word white, and the word recovery @gmail.